Happy New Year! It's the first UML Fan Chris Romero news of 2026, and here's your top stories for today. Very special thank you to Gaff Random for making this new background that will be used. As you know, Winterfest is coming up right here on UML Fan Chris Romero. To tell you more information on what you can expect, here is Eric.
The city of Lowell celebrates bicentennial kickoff at an extra special Winterfest on Saturday, February 28th. The city of Lowell is delighted to announce the return of Winterfest, set to take place on Saturday, February 28th in the heart of downtown Lowell. This year, the event falls just shy of Lowell's official incorporation date, March 1, 1826. To celebrate, the city is planning an action-packed, one-day Winterfest event Saturday, February 28th, 12:00 p.m. to 10 p.m. This free, family-friendly, cold-weather classic celebrates music, art, and community while shaking off the winter blues. The festivities kick off with activities starting at 12 p.m. and continuing throughout the day until 10 p.m. In addition to celebrating on Middle Street, Palmer Street, and in the Rockland Trust Lot, the wintry fun expands this year to include Merrimack Street. In honor of Lowell's bicentennial, a special guest will stop by to help us mark the occasion, celebrity chef Buddy Valastro, owner of Carlo's Bakery. Mr. Valastro will craft a one-of-a-kind birthday cake for the city and will host a showcase of Lowell's finest bakeries in the main tent on Merrimack Street. Throughout the duration of the festival, a bicentennial cake sculpture will be on display in front of St. Anne's Church. The cake was refurbished for display in Lowell by Youth Build of Greater Lowell, and a custom topper was created by Refuge Lowell. On your way to the St. Anne's Chocolate Festival, stop by the bicentennial cake to admire the craftsmanship of Lowell's emerging carpenters and artists. While you're gearing up for the Saturday fun, check out the Nordic Jam sessions, busker pop-ups at various restaurants and eateries in downtown Lowell. These mini-concerts will take place on Friday, February 27th, and continue throughout the day on Saturday, February 28th. Look for a lullaby in front of these locations, and stop in for some tunes. The call for art for lullabies to be placed in front of these locations is still open, and artists of all experience levels and mediums are invited to submit their work. This Winterfest is especially important, serving as a celebration of 200 years of our great city, remarked Mayor Eric Gitchier. Festivals are a key piece of Lowell's cultural offerings and economic development as a city. And Winterfest is no exception. We encourage everyone to join us on Saturday, February 28 to mark this momentous occasion. City Manager Thomas A. Golden, Jr., expressed his excitement, stating, "We are thrilled to celebrate Winterfest as the kickoff to the city's bicentennial year, and bring some midwinter fun back to downtown Lowell for all to enjoy." The city of Lowell is proud to welcome Buddy Valastro to host the local bakery showcase as we celebrate 200 years of community in Lowell. We look forward to seeing all residents come out to enjoy the festival. There might be a lot to like about Lowell, but there's going to be even more to love about it during the bicentennial celebration thanks to the overwhelming generosity of our private sponsors. Their donations will allow us to celebrate with celebrity chef Buddy Valastro during Saturday at Winterfest, Grammy Award-winning country star Lee Brice and friends on March 26 at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium. The biggest July 4th fireworks Lowell has ever seen, and an October street festival to cap it off, all at no charge to attend. Just bring your Lowell pride and a spirit of community. With all of the added activities, the city of Lowell is proud to welcome Suffolk in the City to cover Winterfest. Suffolk in the City is a partnership of Suffolk University and New England Cable News, providing opportunities for Suffolk students to produce and present live news stories on New England Cable Network. The city of Lowell is excited to continue partnerships with local media outlets to enhance access to Winterfest. Through Inside Lowell, the Lowell Sun, Lowell Telemedia Center, and CAP.
It is pronounced not CAP. It is pronounced 980 WCAP, the voice of the valley. And yes, you heard it here on the channel first. Cake Boss is coming to UML fan Chris Romero at Winterfest. So, you may want to tune in for this one. Fun fact, Winterfest actually brings in a lot of viewership for the channel, so I am very excited to bring back Winterfest. And a reminder to folks that Winterfest will be a one-day event this year, not a two-day event, one-day event. So let me know down below, are you excited to see Cake Boss on UML fan Chris Romero, and are you even looking forward to Winterfest? It is time to put pause, and it's time for submissions. Since UML fan Chris Romero news have not been on the channel since December 31st of last year, I've gotten a lot of submissions from you, and I'm proud to reveal them. So let's find out who submitted. It has been a while since the Sega channel has submitted to UML fan Chris Romero news. A promo will air later on in this video. This was submitted but did not end up getting the cut, but I will do it now. Toon Turf is available now. I saw the first episode and I look forward to seeing new episodes soon. This is a first time submission from David ALTUZ. Welcome him to the channel as he submitted Muffin and Cake, which is a new show on his channel. Apologies for leaving you out. This was brought to my attention by one of you, and I'm happy to cover it. There is currently a dispute between Dish and Sling TV and ESPN and Disney-owned channels. With more information on what is happening, here's Eric. Eric, what do you have?
In a mounting corporate clash that could disrupt millions of viewers, Dish Network and its streaming service Sling TV stand on the brink of losing access to ESPN and a suite of Disney-owned channels in 2026. The threat emerges from a bitter series of lawsuits between the companies, with court documents revealing that their current carriage agreement is slated to expire within the year. This development has intensified concerns over programming blackouts, similar to past disputes that left subscribers without key sports and entertainment content during peak seasons. The conflict ignited in August 2025 when Disney initiated legal action against Dish in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. The suit centered on Sling TV's introduction of innovative short-term subscription passes, including one-day, 3-day, and 7-day options starting at under $5. These passes granted users temporary access to a bundle of channels, incorporating Disney's properties such as ESPN, ESPN2, Disney Channel, ABC, FX, and others. Disney contended that this model breached the terms of their existing licensing deal, as Sling launched the offerings without prior consultation or approval. The media giant argued that such flexible packaging undermined the structure of their agreement, which mandates specific distribution rules to protect revenue streams from premium content like live sports. By November 2025, a federal judge rejected Disney's request for a preliminary injunction to halt the passes, determining that the company failed to prove immediate irreparable harm. The ruling emphasized that any potential damages could be resolved monetarily or through forthcoming contract negotiations, rather than necessitating an abrupt shutdown. This decision allowed Sling to continue marketing the passes, particularly appealing during high-demand events like football games, but it did not resolve the underlying breach claims. Disney subsequently amended and refiled its complaint, keeping the pressure on Dish to defend its practices. That dispute escalated dramatically in early January 2026 when Dish filed a countersuit against Disney and ESPN, accusing them of antitrust violations under the Sherman Act and breach of contract. Dish alleged that Disney exploits its dominant position in the live sports market, where ESPN holds sway as a must-have network for fans. According to the filing, Disney forces distributors like Sling to bundle less desirable channels with high-value ones, inflating costs and limiting consumer choices. This tying arrangement, Dish claimed, compels providers to overpay for unwanted programming, passing extra expenses onto subscribers. Furthermore, Dish pointed to most favored nation clauses in their agreement, which required Disney to offer equivalent terms to those given to competitors. The countersuit highlighted instances where Disney allegedly provided more favorable deals to other platforms, such as through its own skinny sports bundles like the ESPN Fox One package or acquisitions involving rivals like Fubo, thereby stifling competition and innovation in flexible streaming options. Court documents from both suits underscore the precarious timing. The multi-year carriage contract between Dish, Sling and Disney is due to end in 2026, with the exact date kept confidential but confirmed to fall within the calendar year. This expiration opens the door to renegotiations fraught with leverage imbalances. Disney's history of hardball tactics and carriage disputes, evident in prior blackouts with providers like Spectrum and DirecTV, suggests it could withhold channels if demands for higher fees or stricter packaging rules are not met. Analysts predict that the ongoing litigation will harden positions, making a smooth renewal unlikely. For Dish, which has seen Sling TV's subscriber base fluctuate amid cord-cutting trends, losing ESPN could be devastating, especially during major events like NFL playoffs or college basketball tournaments. The broader implications ripple through the pay-TV industry, highlighting tensions between traditional media conglomerates and evolving streaming models. Dish positions its short-term passes as a consumer-friendly response to demands for a la carte viewing, allowing users to pay only for what they watch without long-term commitments. Disney, however, views this as a threat to its bundled ecosystem, which sustains profitability for networks beyond flagship sports outlets. As the lawsuits progress, potential outcomes include monetary settlements, forced changes to Sling's offerings, or even regulatory scrutiny over antitrust concerns. Subscribers to Dish and Sling TV, numbering in the millions, new face uncertainty. Without a resolution, a blackout could strip away not just ESPN but an array of Disney channels, including ABC-owned local stations, Freeform, National Geographic, and more. This would mark another chapter in the shifting landscape of content distribution, where legal battles increasingly dictate access to entertainment. Industry observers anticipate intensified negotiations in the coming months, but with lawsuits unresolved, the risk of service disruptions in 2026 remains high.
Should there be any updates regarding this situation, you'll be the first to know, so keep it locked here on the channel as this situation unfolds. Moving on, another show has been removed from Paramount Plus. Want to know what the show is? Here's Eric with those details.
Paramount Plus has long housed some of the biggest animated series that Nickelodeon has to offer. Unfortunately, in the age of streaming, movies and television shows aren't guaranteed to remain a part of streaming services forever. Most recently, Paramount's premier streaming service was making headlines for removing a beloved Nicktoon, as told by Ginger, and it seems as though the platform isn't done yet when it comes to Nickelodeon fare. To kick off the new year, two of the biggest classic series from the cable network have been unceremoniously dropped from Paramount Plus, and you might be surprised to learn what they are. As of this year, Nickelodeon's Cable and Action League now have disappeared from Paramount Plus' roster. Ironically enough, the stop-motion action figure superheroes known as the Action League actually got their start on Cable. Initially, the crime fighters appeared as one of the many segments that the animated anthology series had to offer, receiving 51 segments of their own. When the action figures received their own series on Nickelodeon, they only received 12 episodes in total. Since these series came to an end on Nick, they have yet to receive revivals like many of their fellow cable brethren, and it seems as though that might never be in the cards. For those who might be unfamiliar with Cable, the series first premiered on Nick in 1996 and ended its run after 4 years in the year 2000. The show was hosted by animated siblings Henry and June, ushering in quite a few different segments that each could be worthy of their own series. The segments included the likes of Prometheus and Bob, Angela Anaconda, and Action League Now, which used different styles of animation to tell their wild stories. Unfortunately, Paramount Plus did not state if these two series that have left the platform will appear anywhere else, and since Cable and Action League Now didn't receive physical releases, watching them might prove to be tricky moving forward. To cap off 2025, Paramount announced that The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender would be ditching theaters to become a streaming exclusive. Alongside this movie focusing on adult Aang, Paramount Plus will house Avatar, Seven Havens, the original animated series that will focus on the world of bending with the Avatar who follows Korra. With the Avatar franchise currently promising 2 additional movies in the future, Nickelodeon seems to still be on board with its animated roots.
Well, it is unfortunate to hear, unfortunately. I did watch actually a couple Kablam episodes. Also, I have a few announcements, some coming from the channel's partners over at Gaff Random. There is a new show that had its pilot released not too long ago. The show is titled The Life and Times of Pivot and is available right now on the Gaff Random YouTube channel. Also announced both the Logo Show movie and the Gaff Random movie is set to release, and it is starring yours truly. And we also recently got the announcement of the Logo movie is set to re-premiere on June 20th on the Gaff Random YouTube channel, which happens to be the same day as the Summer of UML fan Chris Romero. And finally, to end out this video, Eric will be covering both the Corporation for Public Broadcasting shutdown and Pocket Mortys that's also set to shut down. Eric, take it away.
The Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the entity which helped fund the operations of local public TV and radio stations, has voted to shut down. The CPB announced Monday that its board of directors voted to close the organization after 58 years. Rather than continue to exist and potentially be vulnerable to future political manipulation or misuse, the CPB was created by Congress by the Public Broadcasting Act of 1967 to support the federal government's investment in public broadcasting. For more than half a century, CPB existed to ensure that all Americans, regardless of geography, income, or background, had access to trusted news, educational programming, and local storytelling, said CPB President, CEO Patricia Harrison. When the administration and Congress rescinded federal funding, our board faced a profound responsibility. CPB's final act would be to protect the integrity of the public media system and the democratic values by dissolving, rather than allowing the organization to remain defunded and vulnerable to additional attacks. CPB Board of Directors Chair Ruby Calvert called the move, and what has happened to public media, devastating. After nearly 6 decades of innovative, educational public television and radio service, Congress eliminated all funding for CPB, leaving the board with no way to continue the organization or support the public media system that depends on it, Calvert said. Yet, even in this moment, I am convinced that public media will survive, and that a new Congress will address public media's role in our country because it is critical to our children's education, our history, culture and democracy to do so. The funding was used to support both public radio and public television stations, directing over 70% of CPB's appropriations straight to local stations. The funds also supported independent filmmakers. Without the funds, PBS has been scrambling to support and protect some of its most vulnerable member stations. Some stations have announced plans to shut down. Arkansas PBS stations disaffiliated with the service and went independent to save money. The CPB said that without funding, its board determined that maintaining the corporation as a non-functional entity would not serve the public interest or advance the goals of public media. A dormant and defunded CPB could have become vulnerable to future political manipulation or misuse, threatening the independence of public media and the trust audiences place in it, and potentially subjecting staff and board members. As it closes, CPB is distributing its remaining funds, and also supporting the American Archive of Public Broadcasting in digitizing and preserving historic content. The CPB's own archives will be preserved at the University of Maryland, which will make it accessible to the public. In September, the Television Academy honored CPB with its Governor's Award, presenting it to Harrison, who had led the organization since 2005, at the Creative Arts ceremony. Public media remains essential to a healthy democracy, Harrison added. Our hope is that future leaders and generations will recognize its value, defend its independence, and continue the work of ensuring that trustworthy, educational, and community-centered media remains accessible to all Americans. Rick and Morty, Pocket Mortys, a mobile RPG based on the popular animated series, will be shut down on April 13, 2026. This was announced by Adult Swim Games, summarizing the nearly decade-long history of the project, which began as a parody of Pokémon. The developers did not disclose the reasons for the closure, limiting themselves to a message about the imminent cessation of support and server operation. Pocket Mortys offered players the opportunity to collect over 400 versions of Morty from different universes, from bearded to cybernetic, to fight against various versions of Rick from the multiverse. Nevertheless, those who wish can still get acquainted with the project. In recent months, the team has organized a kind of celebration before the finale, making all in-game content free. At the same time, the release of an offline version is not planned, and funds for previously made purchases will not be returned.
Viewers old and new, the book has dusted off and Awesome A is ready to roll into 2026. Awesome A and Friends, new episode February 14th on the Sega channel, and next day on the new channel, year 2025 production. And that was a message from the channel's partners over at the Sega channel. Make sure you watch the show. Well, that's going to be a wrap of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Another thing to note that I forgot in the last video, it appears another channel has shut it down, this time in France. That network is titled Game One. You're probably asking yourself, UML fan, what is Game One? Well, it's a pioneering French gaming TV channel that launched in 1998 and it shut it down permanently at the end of November 2025. The reason? The channel closed due to a restructuring plan by the owner, Paramount Skydance. I forgot to add that in the last video. My apologies, and shout out to whoever submitted it, which I know who submitted it, obviously. This is the first UML Fan Chris Romero news of 2026. I apologize for being absent and this show being on hiatus because I have been mostly trying to focus on getting my diploma and graduate high school. So that is the reason why it has been off UML Fan Chris Romero news for quite some time. But don't worry, I plan to come back. And once again, a very special thank you to Gaff Random for making this background that will be used in future UML Fan Chris Romero news. Until then, I will see you all in the next one. Make sure you watch the PWHL game right here on UML Fan Chris Romero this Wednesday when your Boston Fleet take on the New York Sirens. Peace out and go Riverhawks. And one last thing, there will be an announcement regarding when your UMass Lowell Riverhawks come back on UML Fan Chris Romero. So keep an eye out on that. And I will be announcing on my community post who will be performing at the Town and City Festival. And news just broke. I am in this video titled Hawaiian Outbreak in collaboration with Lyric Over Yonder, now known as Mordecai EAS and Analog Horror. The channel also got word that there is set to be a logo show marathon event that is approximately 6 hours long, set to be aired on the Gaff Random YouTube channel. More details will be provided as it becomes available. Until then, I know this has not been confirmed yet, but I was told that there is a Kids' Choice Awards 2026 planned, although I have not gotten any information regarding that. Peace out and go Riverhawks.